I wanted to share with you 12 shocking realities of retirement planning and transitioning into and through retirement. As a financial advisor, I have the unique perspective of walking life with a lot of different people and a lot of different life circumstances, and I just want to share with you some of the things that have really surprised people as they're making this transition into and through retirement. The first one is Social Security. When they're planning for retirement and they're trying to determine when to start Social Security, and they're using a planning first approach to this decision, when you start Social Security, it can impact how much money you pay in taxes over your lifetime. It can impact how much money you pay for the health insurance from age 60 to 65 based on the Affordable Care Act credits. It can impact how much money you have remaining at the end of your life. For some people, it can be the deciding factor between whether or not they've saved enough to be able to retire or if they're going to run out of money early in retirement. So Social Security is a huge one that often surprises people. The next thing that people are surprised by is better health. It's pretty common when people retire, they start taking better care of themselves. They start eating better, they start sleeping better, and in many instances we find that people start walking more. So there's people that we know that are walking 5 to 10 miles a day in retirement, and they see their weight go down and they just feel better. And so it's not uncommon to see people doing better physically as they make this transition into retirement. Sometimes people are shocked when the kids or the grandkids have to move back into the house. They think, oh boy, we're retired, we finally have all this time freedom, and then the kids call up and say, hey, we just lost a job or things aren't going well and we're going to need to move back into the house. So that's been a shocker or a surprise for some families. This next one really catches people by surprise. They'll retire, say, at age 57 or 58, and they'll realize that retirement just wasn't what they thought it was going to be. Their spouse is still working, their friends are still working, and they get bored. And sometimes we actually see people that go back to work after they've retired just because retirement wasn't what they were hoping it would be. Number 5, it's not uncommon to see people who are surprised at how much money they spend that first year of retirement. It's usually they catch us about 6 months into retirement. Before retirement, they put together a budget, they have an idea of what their spending plan is going to be, and then all of a sudden they're spending a lot more money than they thought they would. And so your spending can really get away from you. Just like a bad sequence of returns can really negatively impact your financial well-being, a bad sequence of spending can also have a really negative impact on your financial plan. So, and that's not uncommon. People usually will just start to readjust their spending as a result of being retired and recognize that they may not have the same type of spending power that they did while they were working. Number 6, people are surprised at how much purpose and fulfillment they received from their work. And it's not uncommon at all for me to talk with people who tell me the first 6 months to 12 months of retirement can be really challenging. They feel like they're adrift. They don't really know what their purpose is. And that's why we always want to encourage people to retire to something and not from something. You really want to know how you're going to spend your time and who you're going to spend your time with that first 12 months of retirement as you're making this adjustment into a new way of living. Number 7, I always love asking people right after they retired, hey, what's the best part? And I'm always surprised to hear how many people tell me that the best part of retirement is just being able to sleep in and not have to have an alarm clock anymore. Number 8, and this is one of those financial uh-ohs, people don't really think about it until after the fact, but let's say they sell their primary residence because they're going to move to a new location and they have a lot of taxable gains and it bumps their income way up, or they sell a rental property. And then all of a sudden they get hit with income-related Medicare adjustments. And so their Medicare Part B premiums, once they're 65 and they're paying Medicare, before the IRMA kicks in, they were paying maybe $170 per month per person for Medicare Part B. And then they get hit with this big one-time income stream that comes in, and it causes them to start having to pay over $400 per month per person for their Medicare Part B. So that's one of those uh-ohs, kind of a gotcha. Number 9 is many times people, when they start taking required minimum distributions, they don't really understand the impact that that's going to have on their tax situation. As many people know, it used to be 70 and a half that you started RMDs, and then it went to 72, and now it's 73, and eventually it'll get all the way to age 75 before you have to take those RMDs. But as you're doing your financial planning, you want to be thinking through what are the tax implications of those RMDs. And it may cause you in the early years of retirement to consider doing things like Roth conversions, so that you don't have this unexpected income that hits your tax return and causes all kinds of different problems. One of those issues could be Social Security is taxed based on provisional income rules. And for many people, their full Social Security isn't taxed initially in retirement because they're taking withdrawals from non-qualified accounts. But then when those RMDs kick in, all of a sudden, all their Social Security, or 85% of their Social Security, becomes taxable. And now they're paying much more money in taxes as a result of those required minimum distributions. So that's definitely something worth thinking about and looking at a financial plan to understand the implications and to understand if there's anything you can do to mitigate it early. Along those same lines, sometimes people have a big cash flow event early in retirement, say between age 60 to 65, and maybe early they had structured their income in a way where they've got, say, $100,000 a year coming in, but that income is being drawn out of a savings account or it's coming out of a brokerage account. So they don't have a lot of taxable income. And then they have a big liquidation event or they take a big distribution from an IRA, and it causes more of their income to be recognizable for the Affordable Care Act credits. So maybe they were paying a couple $100 a month for health insurance up to 65, and then all of a sudden they have this big income situation, and now they're paying $2,000 a month for their health insurance. So you really need to think through all of the implications especially when you're in those early years of retirement, and if you're trying to keep your medical health insurance costs as low as possible. This next one's kind of fun. People will say, Jason, I don't know how I ever had enough time to hold down a full-time job. They say that they're busier than ever in retirement, and they're surprised at just how much they have to do. Now, some of this I wonder is just a matter of because they don't have the structure in their day where things have to get done at certain times, if it just seems like time is slipping away, or if they just really are busier than ever. But that's one that we hear a lot from people. And then number 12, the last one on the list, is it's really hard for people to shift out of the accumulation mindset and into the spending mindset. People have been saving for retirement their whole life, and what they know is to save money. And so now they get into this new pattern where they're having to start taking portfolio withdrawals, taking money out of the accounts that they've saved. And that can be a really hard transition for people to start seeing those balances dropping or falling in value as they make the transition through retirement. So those were 12 items that shocked people as they're making this transition into retirement, surprises people. I hope you found this helpful. Thanks so much.